るざますよ。行くでガンス。うんがまともに始めなさいよ。
Hey, now you're a man.
Now you're a
man. A man. You are now a man. You're a man.
ナンパス。
Now you're a
お
man.
兄ちゃん。お兄ちゃん。お兄ちゃん。お姉ちゃん。お兄ちゃんの変態。
Live it. What makes a man? Is it the war?
This is Manly Anime for Manly Men, the show that won't die even if it's killed. I'm Jack, and here with me is my co-host Nathaniel. Nathaniel,
Hello.
how you doing? Yeah.
Oh, I'm doing good.
That's good to hear. Good to hear. I'm glad you're here because on this episode we're talking about Ika Musume, an anime that we are both extremely familiar with.
Yeah, this is a real fun one here. And as I mentioned in our last recording, it's very similar to another one of my favorite shows, which is Keroro Gunso, or Sergeant Frog.
Yeah, that's a real. I don't know. I feel like I don't think about Sergeant Frog as being like one of my all-time favorites, but I definitely have gotten so much enjoyment from watching it.
Yeah, that's about the same as how I feel about it.
Yeah, it's a great show, and yeah, it is. Ika Musume is like really similar in plot, so as we mentioned, but it works well. It's a good plot, so why not?
Yep. And so the basic premise, and I'm just going to read a bit from my anime list here because I think that their synopsis is pretty amusing in itself. Humans have been polluting the ocean for a long time, carelessly pouring their garbage and desecrating the waters that many creatures call home. The denizens of the sea have suffered at their poisoning hands. Finally, one certain squid has had enough and vows to punish the human's selfish actions. So, basically, she comes onto land with a goal of conquering the earth for the sake of the ocean and her squid people. But instead, she has no idea what's going on the surface world, and basically ends up getting enslaved by the first human she finds after she accidentally destroys part of their restaurant.
Yeah, she walks 10 feet and then immediately is like her life is forfeit to this group of people. So, and man, that description made it sound way more intense than than it actually is.
Yeah, that's why I read it.
Yeah, it's what a funny choice. But yeah, because it's so focused on it's a zany comedy.
But so then she ends up becoming the newest employee of the other characters' beachside restaurant selling grilled Japanese foods, and it becomes a wacky comedy / slice of life a bit.
Yeah, a bit of slice of life elements. But, it leans more heavily on comedy, I think.
Definitely.
Yeah. And saying Degesso.
Yes, and that also brings me to another thing that I'm excited about for this rewatch. Mm-hmm. Because when I first watched this was when I had just only recently gotten into anime, and I had not yet evolved into the patrician that I am today with an all-abiding disgust for dubs. So,
correct. Yeah.
And at the time, Netflix, where I was watching it, only had single audio options for their shows, so I ended up watching the dub of this first. So I'm excited to watch the real version now.
Yeah. I mean, in the dub, they replace her, vocal tick of ending, replacing... she replaces Desu, right, with Degesso.
Right.
Which is, tentacle.
Yeah, and the dub, I think, handles it pretty creatively by just inserting sea and ocean-related puns wherever possible.
Yeah, instead of invasion, she always says inkvasion.
Inkvasion, you gotta be squidding me. That's
yeah.
real cheesy puns.
I mean, yeah, but also they're great.
Oh yeah,
Like, honestly,
cheesy puns are best puns.
I have a distinct fondness for the dub of Ika Musume, you know, and I don't think that there's very many dubs that I have that same fondness for, except actually one of them being Sergeant Frog, which also, like, I think I almost prefer to the dub of that because it is, I feel like, more accessible to an American audience.
Yeah, that's one of the very few shows where I might actually prefer the dub to the sub. So
Yeah.
I'm curious, with all the parallels between these two shows, I'm curious to see how I'll like the sub this time around.
Yeah, I'll be interested to hear that also. I think I've watched like a bit of both. I don't know if I've actually just watched like one season entirely. I think I like switched partway through, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
But yeah, either way, they're both pretty good, and I'll be interested to see what you think of the original version, the original flavor, as it were. Although I do miss the I do like the fish puns, but yeah, whatever.
Right.
All right. Do you have anything else to say about Ika Musume before we in this like little opening bit, or are we good to move on?
I mean, I think I'm good. I'm just looking forward to revisiting this show from my early days of anime fandom and seeing how I react to it with more shows under my belt.
Yeah, now you were formerly a novice weeb, and now you have grown elder and wizened.
I have evolved.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'll be interested.
I'm
to
growing
see...
stronger.
All right, we're gonna take a break, and then when we come back, we'll have seen the show. But first, let's talk about some lesser shows for lesser men. This is a segment where we quickly recommend or condemn an anime that we've seen that we normally would not talk about on this show. Nathaniel, what kind of show do you have for us?
Well, I actually have a movie
Oh shit!
called The Asylum Session, and I have to say this was utter garbage. There's no way to sugarcoat this.
Wow.
Now, the story is mediocre but not terrible. It's a fairly standard collection of cyberpunk cliches about this group of punk, essentially an artist colony that has a standoff with the police because they're trying to destroy this stadium that they live in, and so they try to put on a show, a street art event called the Asylum Session, and so the two main characters are Hiyoko, a high school girl who's aiming to enter an art university and ends up running away from home and finds these people to live with, and Akira, a cyborg with a mysterious past. So the story is nothing special, but what really kills this is the butt ugly animation. It's all done in 3D, which I'm personally prejudiced against, but that's really not the core issue here. The core issue is that I want to compare it to a student project, except that would be an insult to many of the student projects that I've seen, because the animation in this is just atrocious. The eye motions and gestures of people all look super unnatural. There's weird lens flare everywhere. The lighting, it's basically if you turned up if you fucked with the brightness and contrast on your monitor, and it's bad.
Yeah, I'm not looking at it in motion right now, but I'm looking at screenshots, and yeah, this is fuck ugly.
The character design is also pretty bad. At least some of this seems intentional, but They all have bizarrely large hands, with similar to I know that you've played the video game Dishonored.
Yeah. I mean, that is a clear, choice. I was about to say this does look like these could be like cutscenes from a video game. Like in the middle, you're I don't know, you go out and around the town and tag things or whatever. But just by itself, it's weird.
But yeah, I don't know. There's even with the comparison to Dishonored, I didn't particularly like the character design in that game, but it pulled it off better than this did.
Yeah.
And to compare it to other creators with weird character design choices, like with Clamp, that's personally not my favorite style, but you can tell it's clearly a stylistic choice, and they pull it off within the parameters of what they're trying to do. This thing is just a mess.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
So frankly, I don't know. I want my $4 back that I spent on this DVD. I'm pretty sure that I just threw it into my shopping cart to get up to the threshold for free shipping, and so I guess you get what you get when you do that, right?
Yeah. Was it worth it?
Absolutely not.
Okay, that's fucked up.
Don't, stay away from this one unless you're a masochist like me who likes watching shitty anime, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, there's always that.
And even from that perspective, it was not enjoyable for me.
Yeah, I mean, there's a difference between something being shitty in like a fun way and things being just like, this is just kind of bad.
So that is my lesser show for lesser men for this episode. And stay away.
All right. Then I guess I'll balance that out with an extremely positive recommendation, and that is
positivity is for suckers.
Okay, well I can be really negative about it then if you want, but I'm still going to recommend it. I'm not going to even try. It's hard to be negative about this show because it's so delightful. It's a Skull-Faced Bookseller Honda-san.
Oh, yes.
Which absolutely rules. It's so great. It's this anime that is made by... or that is based off of the author's real experiences working in a bookstore in Japan. Obviously, because he's Japanese, so of course it's in Japan. But you can tell that this is based on real stuff. To the point where the main character, Honda-san, is like a skeleton, and everyone else has their identity covered basically by wearing like a full face mask of some sort, and they're only referred to as that.
Exactly like his bookstore is in real life, presumably.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone's wearing a full face mask. It's really horrifying. No, but yeah, there's like an employee who's just like has a paper bag on their head, and like that's what their name is. I forget what the actual Japanese word for it is, but it's paper bag. There's somebody whose name's like Bandage, basically, and her whole face is covered in bandages. And it's really funny, but a very also like realistic look into the sort of life of a bookstore employee in a way that's very fun. And he spends a lot of time dealing with like weird customers or like the holiday rush or whatever, things going on sale and them not having enough stuff, and it's super fun. And the animation is really interesting as well because it's all like it's very like limited animation, but limited in an artistic way, I'll say.
Yeah, it definitely has a distinctive visual look to it.
Yes, yeah, and a great opening too. Yeah, it's super cool. Probably one of my favorite gags is there's one where he goes to a party with like a bunch of like industry people, and one person starts like complaining about this manga, Skull-Faced Bookseller Honda-san, and he shrinks down and is like, oh yeah, that's horrible. It's that sort of thing where it's like, oh man, yeah, there's so much of this that is probably just real shit that happened.
Yeah,
but yeah,
and also
it's great.
I'll say we should put a clip of this in the show notes maybe, because you sold me on this show with a clip that you sent me where a guy is trying to buy a what turns out to be an arrow manga for his daughter, and he doesn't realize what it is.
And he's a foreigner,
right? And so Skull-san ends up telling him that it's a special yaoi book.
and the customer goes, Jesus Christ!
Yeah.
It's yeah.
So check out the link below, listeners, because it'll give you an idea of what you're getting into.
Yeah, and man, if that doesn't sell you on the show, I don't know what will. Yeah. There's I don't want to fucking spoil every bit, but there's also one where a person is looking for a very like specific type of manga. They're like, it needs to be short, it needs to be interesting for a person in their 40s, and all of these various things. And he spends all this time running around trying to find it, and then at the end of the episode, one person's like, "Oh, what manga did they end up going with?" And he's like, "They bought Berserk," which is the exact opposite of all of those things. It was very, very funny. Oh, that's one other thing that I wanted to mention about Skull-Faced Bookseller Honda-san that really like adds to its sort of realism. They always like say real names of stuff, but then it's like censored out. So they say like Berserk, but then like in the middle there's just like a whistle or whatever. So it's like it's clear that they're talking about these real mangas and they're recognizable, but
right.
they don't say it. And I think that was really clever. I don't know. There's a lot to like about this show. That's just great. And honestly, just talking about it, I kind of want to watch it again. All right. I think that's enough on lesser shows for lesser men. So we're gonna take a break, and then when we get back, we'll have seen Ika Musume. Back again, and we've seen Squid Girl. Nathaniel, what did you think about Squid Girl upon your second watch, or however many times you've watched it? I don't know.
Oh, I loved it.
Oh,
and I appreciated watching it again with the original Japanese sub or dub.
Oh yeah,
because
that's right.
Because and one thing that I really noticed was Ika Musume's voice actor, Hisako Kanemoto, really stood out. And apparently this was her first major role, and she nailed it, I feel like. She was perfectly cast for the sort of childlike naivete that Ika Musume has as a character.
Yeah, it's kind of surprising that it's her first, like, big deal role, because, yeah, she really is good at it, you know?
Yep. And the subs that I watched, at least, wrote in their own squid-related puns for her dialogue, so I still got that even without the dub, which I appreciated.
Yeah, it's good. I think the subs that I was watching did put in like squid puns now and again, but a lot of times they just said the word squid in place of a word, which was like, okay. but it still worked out all right.
Oh, yeah.
You know, there's things like incantation, etc. Ink credible, and those are the real classics. But yeah, it had been a while since I'd seen Squid Girl, and I was like, oh, maybe it's because it wasn't like super early on in my career, but it definitely was like one of the earlier anime that I'd been big into. I guess not big into, but I watched it because I watched Sergeant Frog. And
And I have a feeling that's not the last time we're going to reference that show.
100%, yeah. But I was maybe a little worried that I was like, what if it's not as good as I remember? It's a very solid show. It's as good as I remember.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so just to recap the setup, Ika Musume, or Squid Girl, comes to the surface of the land from the ocean in her quest to enslave humanity as retribution for all the pollution that we've put into the ocean. But
we have done a lot of it.
But she runs across the other main characters at I've variously seen the translation as Lemon Beach House or Lemon House at the Sea, which personally I like the latter because it's more poetic. It kind of sounds like a Murakami novel.
Lemon House at the Sea. Yeah, I could see it.
But, their beachside restaurant, and she immediately destroys one of their walls and becomes an indentured servant.
Yeah. I feel like she wouldn't have become an indentured servant so easily, except the fact that Chizuru is extremely scary. So
yes, well, that is they did address that in the first episode, I believe. So yes.
So yeah, and then although she, as again referencing Sergeant Frog, she gets lost in the work at the Lemon House on the Sea pretty quickly,
Yes.
And then she's just going around and doing waitress work and things like that.
Yeah, it's pretty funny how quickly she gets sidetracked, considering that her goal was to conquer all of humanity.
Yeah. Although, I like that in the first episode, they really point out, they're like, how many humans did you think there are? And she's like a couple thousand? It's like, sorry. But yeah, she really starts getting in on the waitress thing pretty instantaneously, which is very funny. That she's just like, "Hey, can you take this over to that table?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, okay."
Yeah, as Eiko points out, even the 1,000 that she thought existed in humanity seem a bit beyond her abilities at this point to conquer.
Yeah, definitely. Even though her tentacles are extremely fast and powerful. So I don't know. She could conquer at least 20 if she really felt like it, I think.
Yeah, you see flashes of her abilities.
Yeah.
For instance, she's a genius at math for some reason.
Yeah, that was always, I expected there to be some sort of payoff for that joke where it's she was just really good at math.
Maybe some squid related reason for it.
No, but she was just really good at math. She wrote down some weird squid formula thing for Eiko, but it didn't there wasn't really an end to that. It was just okay, cool. I guess she's just a math whiz. I guess they did say that she adapts very easily because she I don't know. But yeah, that was a mysterious joke to me. It's for the rest of the series, is she still good at math? I feel like they should bring it up every once in a while.
Yeah, you would think.
Yeah.
But yeah, one of the things that I really like about this show is that how it balances the comedy aspect of it with the slice of life stuff. It sort of veers back and forth from this wacky, over the top, balls to the wall stuff to the totally chill, quiet moments in Ika Musume and her adopted family's everyday lives.
Yeah, it does a good job of balancing that. I feel like it knows when to use the sort of more wacky sort of comedy elements to make a punchline hit really hard, but then it knows also when to like fade back on that to be more slice of life. Yeah, I think it's a good balance.
Yeah, and then at times there's just totally weird shit like the giant mecha squid head that their rival restaurateur sets up, or Cindy, or Cindy and the Three Stooges, who graduated at the top of their class in MIT at the Alien Research Station.
Yeah, and
we'll take any opportunity to let you know that they all graduated at the top of their class at MIT.
They say it almost every scene that they're in, and I also like in the first sort of scene with the Three Stooges that they mention that they invented the cure for cancer, but yeah, they must have mentioned that really casually because I do not even remember that. Yeah, they were like listing off like what they did, like different inventions, like sort of research they've been trying to make to like talk to aliens, and they're like, "Oh, we invented the cure for cancer when we were trying to find like some like conversation with aliens," and then they just sort of move on. And I was like,
as you do.
Wait a second. Wait a minute. And I think even Eiko has some sort of crack about like, are you sure this is the right field for you?
Well, it's like that Spider-Man panel. They don't want to cure cancer. They want cancer. They want to communicate with aliens.
Yeah, I don't want to cure cancer. I want to turn people into dinosaurs. Yeah, I mean, do what you want, I guess. But I think one of the strengths of Ika Musume is like the sort of layering way in the whole cast like kind of interacts with one another. It's everybody has something to do with another member of the cast.
Yes.
I mean, a lot of them, obviously she's the main character, a lot of them do revolve around Squid Girl, but it's like how what's his name, the lifeguard, Goro, has his own stuff going on, how Nagisa has a crush on him and he has a crush on Chizuru, and then Chizuru is just sort of doing things for her own amusement, and there's a lot going on, I think, in a way that is a good breeding ground for fun comedy scenes,
Right. Yeah, and I have to say, in regard to the balance between the wacky comedy and the slice of life, one segment that really stood out to me was in episode 5, the wordless mini Ika Musume sequence.
Oh yeah,
I
had forgotten about that entirely.
It has with this real fantasy, even by the standards of the show, fantastic, dreamlike sort of sequence, which imagines Ika Musume as a tiny chibi character that fits inside a bottle, which Eiko finds while she's walking on the beach one day, and it turns into this again wordless segment that shows them going through Eiko's entire life, growing older, the seasons pass, all that stuff. And it was very out of character with the tone of the rest of the series, but in a very good way, I would say.
Yeah, you can say that.
Okay.
On this, I remember when I first watched it, I was just like, okay, on that. This time, I did not like that scene,
really?
Like that segment. No, mostly because of like I'd forgotten about it entirely, and it is so like it seemed so at odds with the entire rest of the show because it wasn't actually like really slice of life feeling at all or like comedy. It was just like, I don't know. It was just something that kind of happened, and at the end they were like, also it was a dream, so whatever. But
that's exactly
it was kind of a bummer,
right. Well, see, that's exactly what I liked about it, though. It was so out there; it felt very experimental, and for me, it really clicked.
Okay.
And come to think of it, it really reminds me of the opening sequence of Up,
Oh, yeah, I can see that.
which Ika Musume came out in. The anime came out in 2010. The manga started in 2007. So I'm not sure if Up was any sort of inspiration for this or if it's just a coincidence. But
It could be just
that
a
is a
coincidence. I don't know.
similarity that definitely stood out to me.
Yeah. But when I go to watch Ika Musume, I'm not looking to watch the opening of Up.
Well, that's fair. That's fair.
That's two sort of different tones. And when I'm in the middle of like, oh, this is a fun character romp that's like wacky and goofy, and there's all sorts of like funny like stuff going on, and then there's something that it made it feel a lot more crushing than I think it was supposed to be. I don't know. Maybe I'm just more easily affected by that sort of thing. But yeah,
That's exactly what I liked.
yeah. Okay. I mean, that's fair, I suppose.
And so
It definitely was like an interesting like experiment, sort of doing this whole segment without words was interesting, and I do appreciate it for that. But I don't know, it was just kind of was a bummer.
Well, I guess this is just going to have to be one of those times where we'll have to accept that I have my opinion and you're wrong, and there's nothing we can do about that.
I thought you were gonna say that. My prediction was I have my opinion and your opinion is shit. That was what I thought you were gonna say.
Also true.
Yeah, you have your shitty opinion. But yeah, it's man, it's such a solid show.
I agree, absolutely.
Yeah, it's got what else could you need? It's got like visual comedy, it's got character comedy, it's got a bunch of dumb stuff happening for no reason. One thing this is a weirdly specific thing to mention, but in the episode where Squid Girl goes to watch like the superhero show with like the squid villain that she starts cheering for.
Right.
That? Yeah.
The one where she turns the entire crowd of children against the hero and gets them to root for the squid demon.
Yes. Yeah. When I was watching that, I was like, when they were making this show, why did they make the villain say like, I'm here to punish humanity for fucking up the ocean? It's like, well, yeah, you got a point. I feel like they didn't for this children's show. They probably shouldn't have picked a villain with such complex morality. Which it's like, I mean, you do want to hurt humanity, but also, yes. So I guess that's why it was so easy for Squid Girl to turn the kids on No Mask Rider.
Yes,
it was a whole fun segment.
Yeah, the very thinly disguised Kamen Rider parody.
It's gotta have one, Every show has a Kamen Rider parody if you look close enough. Sometimes he's in the background.
Well, and traditionally every show has to have a beach episode, but this entire anime was a beach episode, so
that's true.
They have to do something different.
Yeah, exactly. I guess you could have a non-beach episode. Did they have a non-beach episode? I guess the one where
they went to the mountains.
Yeah. So I guess they did do that. Good work, Squid Girl. Anyway, I feel like for warning people that we were going to reference Sergeant Frog a lot, we haven't referenced Sergeant Frog all that often, actually.
Well, and one difference that I feel like is there is in the balance, to go back to the balance between the wacky comedy and the slice of life moments.
Oh, yeah.
Kerudo Gunso is all wacky comedy shit. The second any sort of sentimentality comes into that show, you know that it's going to be a bit, and they're going to mock you for ever buying into it, right?
Yeah, it really never lets up on the pedal, which does make it a tonally different show in a way that I think is important for telling these two shows with like virtually the same plot apart, you know?
And another big difference is in the main characters, I would say.
Yeah.
In Keroro Gunso, Keroro is a smarmy asshole who who knows a lot, and he knows a lot more about Earth life, despite his complete inability to get any sort of conquering going.
Yeah. Whereas Squid Girl is, forgive the pun, a fish out of water.
Yes.
Like,
she's
literally
much more innocent, much more sweet, and much more trusting and naive, I would say.
As Goro
with only a bit of the smarmy arrogance that Kero has, because she does have a bit of that.
She does have a bit of that. Yeah, I think a lot of that comes out in her interaction with Nagisa, the employee who is really afraid of her.
Yes, and that's personally one of my favorite running gags, is that Ika Musume is constantly terrorizing Nagisa, where on the inside Nagisa is actually one of her favorite people because of this power that she wields over her.
Yeah, she's like, this is great. In the one where they're in where they're doing art, where she's drawing all the people, I like that her tentacles draw people as though, like, as she really sees them, and her one for Nagisa is like a literal angel. And they're like, oh wow, okay. And her one for fucking Sanae, her stalker, is like a bunch of zombies that have her face.
Sanae is kind of the opposite other side of the coin of Nagisa, where she's obsessed romantically with Ika Musume, and Ika Musume is terrified of her.
Yeah, it's not even like like Squid Girl can do anything to Sanae, and she loves it.
Yes, she definitely is a masochist. So
yeah, like getting wrapped up in tentacles and having squid ink sprayed all over her face, and she's like, "This is great."
Just for example.
Yeah. But yeah, I do really like both of those character interactions where, I feel like if Nagisa wasn't there, the show would be a lot weaker, because Squid Girl needs a interaction with another person where she is the one that has a leg up, because all of the rest of them are basically like her getting shit from other people in one way or another.
Oh, absolutely.
So yeah, it's refreshing to have this interaction with Nagisa where she's the one who is fucking shit up. Although generally, before she gets too far with terrorizing Nagisa, somebody else will step in and stop her.
Mm-hmm. And I also think that her Ika Musume's interactions with children are a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's true.
Her relationship with Takeru Aizawa, the younger brother, as we mentioned earlier, the scene with the no mask rider, where she turns the entire crowd against the hero, you can see how children would be attracted to her too, both because of her personality and because she has all these cool squid powers.
Yeah, I mean, there was a scene, I don't remember what episode it was in particular, but there was a scene where somebody leaves Squid Girl alone in a park for not all that long, and when they get back, she's surrounded by a ring of children that are tugging on her tentacles, and she's just she's just standing there just this sucks. And I thought that was really funny, that it's just these kids just kind of appeared to terrorize her.
And another thing that I like about her character is that when her the squid part of her personality comes out. That's always great for a gag. Like her obsession with shrimp, where she immediately gets caught when they try squid fishing. Or her
oh no,
or her fear of the children's pool inflatables that are shaped like orcas and sharks.
Yeah. And there's that one scene where she gets sick with the disease that makes her want shrimp a lot.
Which I'm still not entirely clear on how that's different from normal, because she's always obsessed with shrimp.
Whatever. I guess that's sort of the gag at the end where she's like, "All right, time for shrimp," and they're like, "Oh no, you're still sick," and she's like, "No, what are you talking about?"
Right.
I do like her more squid parts, but yeah, a lot of them revolve around shrimp. She sure does love shrimp.
Which, I mean, I can't blame her. Shrimp is delicious.
Okay. I also like
hey
when
Jack, how's that for 2D guys doing 3D?
Just eat a lot of shrimp,
where we just stuff ourselves with more shellfish than is reasonable.
So what we do is we buy $100 worth of shrimp, like she did, and we eat all of it. That sounds terrible.
I mean, I'm down.
Can I eat shrimp? Is that one of the things I'm allergic to?
Oh, I thought that it was. That's why I'm pushing this so hard.
No, I'm trying to remember whether that is physically possible for me, because I can eat crab. I've eaten crab before, and I didn't die.
If you're not going to go into anaphylactic shock, then I guess this isn't as fun as I imagined.
Yeah. Okay, here's what we can do. You can eat $100 worth of shrimp, and I'll eat multiple peanuts. just for your personal fun. I would watch me die.
I would greatly appreciate that.
You can pound shrimp while I die, and then you have to come back and record an episode yourself at my funeral about how much you enjoyed eating this shrimp like Squid Girl did.
Just cut to hard to a segment that starts off with Amazing Grace on the bagpipes, like Always Sunny.
Like Always Sunny, yeah. Yeah, all right. So I think this is a good idea.
Perfect. So look for that in the future, listeners.
Will kill me just for your entertainment.
It's gonna be great.
It's gonna be great. Yeah, I'm gonna love it. We probably shouldn't eat $100 worth of shrimp as a 2D or 2D guys. 3D guys do 2D things. That seems like a bad
I fucked that up.
Yeah, you did. That's why I fucked it up. But I'm sure we won't get any comments. Nobody listens to the show. Anyway, do we have anything else we want to say about Squid Girl, or should we move on to the next bit?
I think that I am ready to move on.
Okay, then you know what time it is. I think generally we swap which one happens first. Should we do the opening segment first or the Best Girl Olympics?
Let's do the opening segment.
Okay, it's time for the opening segment. The segment where we talk about the opening. Nathaniel, this is a powerful opening.
Powerful is one word to describe it, yes.
It's very energetic. I like it. I like it a lot.
I do like it, but I also hate myself for liking it. Because it's just this disgustingly syrupy sweet J-pop.
Yeah, that's one way of saying it.
But it fits the show. It gets you to go back to the two sides of this show between the wacky comedy and the slice of life. It gets you really primed for the balls out comedy.
Yeah,
side
it
of it.
has that feeling of like the very intense sort of like wacky comedy, and also she gets to say, you know, a lot of weird stuff about conquering the surface world in it. And there's I feel like the song is as you said syrupy. I think the visuals are very good.
Yes.
Like the sort of the quick cuts towards the end and between her doing all these like different things like puking squid ink and like jamming like Aiko's video game cartridges into her system over and over again to
Yeah, that's a great that's a gif right there.
yeah, it's all of those are very very funny and very well done.
And
Like,
I also would like to point out that towards the very end of the opening, there's a still image of Ika Musume in a school uniform with a piece of toast in her mouth, like a shoujo manga MC, and I really like that image. It's very cute.
very good. I also like the yukata one after that as well, though.
Okay.
The- I mean, I think I agree with you in that I prefer the school uniform one, but the yukata is also very nice. Yeah, it's good. What do you think about the ending though?
Well, unlike the OP, which I hate myself for liking, I don't really feel conflicted about this one. I love it.
Yeah,
I mean, as far as the song goes, it's a lovely song, a lovely melody. Reminds me of a low tempo round table song, and the arrangement is great. It's simple but effective, and the counterpoint on the strings really elevate it from that simplicity, I feel like.
okay. Maybe it's because the opening is just wipes everything else from my memory, but honestly, I had a hard time remembering a lot of the ending, I would say. But I don't know, that might be a personal problem.
Okay. Okay.
I do remember enjoying it in the, like, just while I was watching it. And it is nice. I do like the sort of animation touch of having something from the episode in the ending every time.
Oh, that was great, because
Yes.
how it works is the base of the ending is this very simple, almost still shot of a squid girl is the only animated part, with her dress blowing in the wind as she looks out to the ocean at night. So it's very, very, very sentimental, very soothing in that way. So that by itself is great, but I also like the detail of how the animation changes slightly for every episode.
Yeah, like one, she's holding an umbrella after she learns about umbrellas. In one, there's the big robot heads that we were mentioning before. I really like when endings or openings get changed for, for whatever reason to evolve with the show. That's all. It's
and with this one, even though they're pretty minor stuff, it must have been pretty easy. Pretty cheap and easy to do. It really adds a lot to it, I feel like.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's not like a complex bit to do. From like a, I mean, I don't know anything about animation, but it's something that I feel like would be easy to organize. Organize to have.
My personal favorite might be in episode 9 where Ika Musume accidentally makes a new friend after getting caught playing Ding Dong Ditch.
Yeah, Kiyomi, I think her name is.
Yep. And they're holding hands at the end in the ending.
That one's very nice, but it should have been censored.
Well, or there was the final episode where most of it is a completely different ending with all sorts of different animation, but at the very end it goes back to the standard ending, and then at the very, very end, she turns to the camera, waves goodbye to the viewer, and runs off, which I thought was really cute.
liked that. Yeah, that was a very nice sort of capstone on the whole thing, I thought. So yeah, it's a fun little ending, I think. But I feel like the opening is so much more memorable, specifically because of its how in your face and I mean, it's not like a super pleasant song to listen to, but
oh no,
you know, but I still enjoy it.
Well, they both have their merits, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
I'll have to take the ending myself if you push me to it, but they're both good.
Do you have anything else to say about the opening and ending, or should we move on to the next segment?
Let's move on.
All right. It's time for everybody's favorite segment, the Best Girl Olympics, where only the best girl will survive. And Nathaniel, who are you bringing? Who are you bringing to the table to fist fight whoever I'm bringing to the table?
Well, I think that pretty clearly the best girl in the show is Ika Musume herself. I mean, she's not only the main character, but she's in the title.
Yeah, she is the title.
She's not in the title.
Yeah, it's just called Squid Girl.
And so, yeah, has this adorable, childish naivete mixed with a bit of this completely unearned arrogance that creates a really potent mixture for comedy.
Yeah, she's made for comedy.
And I mean, I've touched on a lot of the stuff that I like about her character already. I mean, her interactions with Nagisa, her interactions with her stalker Sanae, the squid related aspects of her personality, the complete unearned arrogance of thinking that she can conquer the world, despite the fact that she does not have those sort of abilities.
Not at all.
And in addition, I would point out that she has an incredibly distinctive character design.
That's true.
That's pretty iconic. I think would be a good word for it.
It's definitely iconic. Like, you can just show, like, even her dress and her bracelets or even just her little hat.
Because the silhouette is a bit of a cheat because she's like a squid, and so she has that bit of a monster design with the tentacle hair and the hat. But yeah, even the more subtle aspects of her character's design stand out in that regard. Yeah.
And in the first Splatoon, you could get Squid Girl outfit. If that's not a good, what do you call it? A good, wow, okay.
Endorsement.
Thank you. I'm gonna leave all that in because of how embarrassing it was. If that's not a good endorsement of how strong her character design is, I don't know what is. Being in a Nintendo property, that's what makes good character design.
Absolutely.
So okay. That's I gotta say, it's a strong contender, and I believe that I had a feeling that you were gonna bring Squid Girl along, because I feel like we've settled on a certain character archetype that is usually the winner,
right?
The energetic idiot. It's always very charming. This time I have broken the mold, and I have accidentally brought along the exact counter to your Squid Girl.
Okay.
And I think the best girl is Chizuru Aizawa.
Okay.
She's great. I like her a lot. Her eyes are always closed, like Brock from Pokemon, except for if she needs to be really horrifying. If she needs to scare the absolute shit out of Squid Girl, then is when she opens her eyes. But my she's a fairly not complex, but she's got a lot going on. She's level-headed and mature. She's a business owner, so that's got that something that going for her. And my favorite part about her, though, is that she always just seems to do things specifically because they are amusing to her.
Mhm.
Saying like, or even there was one episode where they send Squid Girl shopping, and Eiko says like, "Oh, Nagisa, you go along with her," and Nagisa's like, "Okay, I'm really afraid of it." And then Eiko turns to Chizuru and is like, "Maybe they'll be a little more friendly after that." And Chizuru is like, "Oh, I thought you were just sending them along because it was funny." And her just in that one line saying like, "Oh, I kind of misunderstood that. I thought you were just doing that because it was really funny." Is a very fun sort of look into Chizuru's like her thought process on all of this stuff. Squid
Right.
Girl is there specifically to be an object for her own entertainment, and she gets a lot out of it, I think. And in that way, I feel that Chizuru is kind of similar to the audience, in that Squid Girl is going around being weird, doing all this stuff, and Chizuru is like, I want to see where this goes. And I find that a very charming sort of character trait, that she's right there with us, wanting to see what sort of goofy hijinks that she can like push to happen. I think that's funny.
Okay.
And also, like I said, mature business owner who's nice and her eyes are always closed except when she needs to be scary. And also, she can apparently has superhuman like powers. I don't know why.
Well, see, that's a decent case you've laid out, but I got to be honest, I'm still not convinced. I mean, like I said, she's in the title. This is her show, and
it's not called
I think that her
Chizuru
character really, and I think that her character really shines because of that.
That is true, yeah. And honestly, I don't know if I'm going to shake you off of that. So, while I do like Chizuru a lot, I think I am going to let you have this one this time.
Okay, that's fair. We'll see. Maybe I'll have to get you back next time. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. But here's the important question: we have on our hands two again of the very similar archetype of she's got a lot of energy, and she thinks she's cool, and and she's not particularly bright, but in a way that's funny. Is Squid Girl a better girl than Karen Kujo, our previous winner?
I am going to have to say yes.
Really?
Yes, I am. And as you alluded to, they are sort of broadly similar characters. They're both fish out of water types, and they both steal the show through the sheer force of their personality, I would say.
Definitely.
The main distinction that I would draw there is, I feel like in Karen's case, as fun as her character is, I feel like that her stealing the show almost works to the detriment of the show. Whereas with Ika Musume, it's because it is centered around her character, and so I think that only strengthens this show.
Well, in that way, she didn't steal the show; it was hers.
Well, exactly.
Yeah. So I feel like, doesn't that speak to Karen being stronger in that she had a show, she was in a show that was not hers, and I just think of it as the Karen show. That show that has Karen in it.
Well, that is one argument that you could certainly make, sure.
Yeah. And here's another argument. In Squid Girl, is there ever a part where somebody says, "What brings you to Japan?" and then she holds her arms out going, running around pretending to be a plane? Did that ever happen in Squid Girl?
Not that I remember, no.
Your Honor, I rest my case.
Well, then, another point that I would like to bring up is Ika Musume has all sorts of cool squid powers. She can spit ink. She has prehensile tentacles that she can manipulate things with. She's bioluminescent
For some reason.
because she has the power of the firefly squid.
Right,
Pay attention,
yeah.
Jack.
And she has those little the flappy things on her hat that she can use to smack mosquitoes.
Yeah. Midway through, we find out that it's not just a hat; it's actually part of her body.
I mean, I think we knew that at the beginning because she said that if she takes it off, she dies.
True.
Okay,
But she did not know that her flaps could move until later.
yeah, for some reason you'd think that if it was a part of her body that she would know that she could move. Here's my counter argument to all of this: Karen is British and has a cool jacket.
Well, if we're talking character design, I've already talked about how distinctive Ika Musume's character design is.
I mean, that's true, yes. Ah, damn it. I really want Karen to keep on it, you know? She's great. Have you seen her? She calls Aya Ayaya because she doesn't know Japanese. She's bad at Japanese, but she's doing her best. Oh, man. I feel bad that I'm running out of arguments here. I think this is the losing battle, but I'm not going to give it up. I still think that Karen should win.
Okay.
We've reached an impasse.
Well, in that case, I have one more. You talk about how bad she is at Japanese. Ika Musume has simultaneously traits where she's the fish out of water who has no idea what's going on, but she's also incredibly adaptable. So in that regard, she's sort of the best of both worlds.
And she is really good at math for some reason.
Exactly.
I don't think Karen is good at anything. Well, I mean,
And
she's
drawing.
good. Yeah, and drawing. Damn. Fuck.
She's competent and incompetent in equal measures.
This is fucked up.
So, regardless of which you prefer, Ika Musume covers it.
Okay, fine. Ika Musume is the best girl. I'm sorry, Karen. I tried my best.
So now we cast her soul into hell or limbo?
Yeah, limbo, I believe. But
Okay.
yeah, so Karen is forever going to reside in limbo, I guess. I'm sorry.
I mean, it's rough, but that's what happens. You can't get caught up in feeling sorry for these girls. They knew what they were getting into.
That said, I don't feel that bad about this because I know I am certain. Well, now if I say that, now I'm gonna fucking eat my hat on the next episode. But I am 80% sure that Squid Girl's going into limbo next week.
Okay, well, we'll have to see.
Yeah.
And
when I say what that is, then you'll understand.
right.
But, yeah. Before we get to that, is there anything else that you wanted to say about Squid Girl before we move on to the wrap up?
No, I'm about tapped up. I think we have to go to the verdict now.
All right. So what is your verdict about Squid Girl?
It's going to be a straight 5 stars for me, I think.
I mean, yeah, it's a classic, I think, of this genre of wacky comedies, you know?
Yeah. And on my initial watch years ago, I gave it 4 stars. On this rewatch, well, between the fact that it stuck in my head all these years and on how much I appreciated it on the rewatch, I think I'm going to have to upgrade it.
Yeah. I'd agree.
I think that it's stood the test of time as much as any show that a decade old can. I mean, she's still an iconic character.
Yeah,
in
you can
anime.
you can still talk about Squid Girl, and people will know exactly who you're talking about.
Right.
Yeah, it's good. Give it a watch if you haven't.
Yes, strongly recommended. Probably one of my favorite comedy series in retrospect.
Yeah, I mean it's really good. All right, I think that's gonna about do it.
I think so.
All right, next week we're gonna watch Otome Game no Hamatsu Flag Shikanai Akiyaku Reijo Nitense Shite Shimata, or My Next Life is a Villainess, All Routes Lead to Doom.
Holy shit! I think you
I-
fucking nailed that, dude.
I think I did. I mean,
I was looking forward to you flubbing it so that I could mock you, but you didn't give me anything.
such a long fucking title, but yeah, I think, I mean, my pronunciation is not 100% or even 50% probably, but I got all the syllables in there, and that's what matters.
Exactly.
Yeah, Otome Game Villainous, a show that I read the manga first and really enjoyed it, and then I was super excited when the anime came out and I watched it, and I'm ready to watch it again. I think.
Well,
I think it was like 2 seasons ago.
Yeah. Well, and you've showed me a few episodes of it, I believe, and I'm hyped for it based on what I've seen.
Yeah, and this is why I said that that Ika Musume is going into limbo next week. Is, God, I love Katarina Klias, the main character of this show. She's so great. She's the best. So
Well, we'll see.
Yeah, I'm excited to get into a screaming argument with you about how Katarina should win. And this is me claiming that you have to bring somebody else next week. I get Katarina.
Okay, well, we'll see how it goes.
All right, fine, whatever. All right, I think that's everything. So until next time, thank you for doing your part to save anime.